Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is going to be about nutrition. It was requested on my Facebook Nutrilicious page by somebody who's asking about information on becoming vegan and some tips on becoming vegan. So this person that requested it, I'm not sure what your current diet is, but I would recommend this to anybody that's considering going vegan. It should be a slow transition. You shouldn't just do this overnight. I mean, people do and they have their reasons to, and I respect that, but it should be a slow transition if you're consciously getting into this. So what you might want to suggest, what I might want to suggest doing first is that you become a vegetarian. So there are 9 variations of vegetarian. For example, there's an octo-vegetarian. So octo-vegetarians, they only eat eggs, but they don't eat beef or chicken or anything else. Lacto-vegetarians, they eat dairy, but they don't eat eggs or beef or chicken or anything else. And there's pescatarians, they eat fish, but they don't eat beef or chicken or anything else. They also have, for example, you can be a lacto-ovo-pescatarian, which means that you eat dairy, or maybe some dairy, you eat eggs, and you eat fish. So there is a wide variety of vegetarians. I am a vegetarian, and I find most people think I'm vegan. So it's very misunderstood, but there are 9 variations. I'll do another video on that. So you can, and what I tell people mostly is if you want to become vegetarian or vegan, just do what you can. Like people don't realize if you have a day without meat, you're still doing something. You're still making a bit of a difference, right? Depending on the reason you're doing it. I mean, even if you're doing it for health reasons, you're not going to have meat at every meal. Right? Like people think that you do, you don't. So you can start up very, very slowly in that regards. You can decide kind of what you want to take out and what you maybe can't take out right now. Like say you can go without eggs and you can go without fish, but you're just not ready to give up dairy yet. So you could be an octo-vegetarian, or sorry, a lacto-vegetarian until you make that transition. So lots of people do this. And I can, again, do another video on vegetarianism, but that's what I would suggest is go slowly if you can into veganism. So now I'm going to talk about becoming a vegan. So I am also considering going completely vegan, but I'm considering doing it for small periods at a time. And I'll explain maybe later why, but it's just my own personal preference. But there is nothing wrong with becoming a vegan, but I find that it's a big trend right now. It's a big health trend. A lot of people are doing this, not knowing what they're doing. So what's happening is, if anyone that's following the media on this, is that people are coming out 8 to 10 months later saying, oh my God, this is horrible. I have so many vitamin deficiencies. I feel like crap, and I never wanted to say anything because I was preaching about being a vegan. This is what's happening because they're eating incorrectly. So most people become vegan, don't do any research on what they're doing. They tend to eat very, very high carb and very, very low fat. And 10 months in, 8 months in, 6 months in, 2 years in, it depends on the person and their situation before they went vegan, they're having all kinds of health issues, like serious health issues. So I tell you, this is a slow and steady process. And I highly recommend that if you are going to go vegan, you work with a nutritionist and you also work with your doctor. You should be doing blood testing regularly to make sure you don't have deficiencies. We will talk about what the most common ones and what they are. But there is a proper way to do a plant-based diet, a vegan diet. There is a proper way to do it. And unless you are ready to plan your meals ahead of time and think outside the box and really put an effort into it, then this is not for you. Because if you do that, you're going to be one of these vegans that eats all the crappy vegan diet, and then you're going to feel great and be on top of the world and be preaching it from the rooftops, and then you're just going to and it's not going to be good. So I'll try to get as much information as I can. And again, this is just beginner vegan stuff, right? So I've been researching it, a lot of it myself, because I am thinking of becoming vegan. So there are 3 main reasons why people go vegan. One is for the environment, with the greenhouse gases and all the damage it's doing to the environment, to our health. A lot of people are becoming very strict environmentalists, and a lot of people are going vegan for that reason. The second reason, is what is obvious to most people, is for animals, is for the ethical treatment of animals, and for the treatment of animals for farming practices, and just because they love animals so much. And I admit that is part of the reason that I'm vegetarian. It wasn't the whole reason, but it certainly is the reason now. So that's a big reason, and you'll find a lot of vegans that are absolute avid animal lovers. but not all of them do it for that particular reason. The third reason, and most probably common reason, is for health. And I do believe that there is validity to this diet, but it depends on the person doing it and the type of diet they're following. This is absolutely not for everybody. Absolutely not for everybody. So let's start off by saying that. So those are the three main reasons. So not sure what the person's reason is for requesting, but it doesn't really matter because those are all three great reasons. So I'm going to get into, first of all, I want to touch into proteins, because a lot of people think that when they go vegan, that they're not going to get protein. This is the biggest thing, even I get as a vegetarian. Well, where do you get your protein from? Like, how do you possibly get protein? As a vegetarian, I get my protein through fish because I'm a pescatarian currently. So I get fish, I have tuna occasionally because it's not good to have too much tuna because of mercury. You know, I eat salmon, but I eat other sources of protein as well. That's not my main source of protein, and a lot of them are included in this vegan protein list that I'm about to give you. So that's the number one myth about being vegan. And there are lots of meat substitutes. There are tons and tons and tons of meat substitutes in all the grocery stores right now. And I think there is a place for them. Like, I think if you are, for example, there are people that see a documentary or watch something that by accident, they see a video of a farming practice and they see a horrible, what happens to the animals. And it's absolutely horrible if you don't know. Linda McCartney once said years ago, she quoted that if slaughterhouses had glass walls, nobody would eat meat or pork or chicken or anything. And that's absolutely true. And I'm not here to lecture you on that, but I mean, there are people that watch these videos and the next day decide, that's it, I can't do it. And if you're one of those people and you were enjoying meat before you knew this, or you were enjoying chicken or whatever, those meat substitutes might be good for you to transition until you have more. But I personally would not recommend long-term use of those, and it's not going to be one of the sources I'm going to give you for protein because they make those a lot of the times. They use a lot of soy and soybean. It's a lot of soy-based products, and soy mimics estrogen in the body, can mimic estrogen. Can cause a lot of health issues. Also, soy is heavily genetically modified, heavily pesticide sprayed, all of that stuff. It's one of the top 5 crops with toxins in it. So I do recommend, if you're going to have soy, it should be organic, and it's going to be probably rare. I mean, somebody can comment below if they know of a meat substitute that's organic. I mean by meat substitute, like fake chicken wings and fake steak and fake turkey, like tofurkey and things like that. That's my thing. I mean, once in a while, it's not a big deal. Like Thanksgiving, if you have tofurkey, because that's all you can have, that's what it's called, fake turkey, that's fine. But I mean, on a regular basis, I would not recommend having fake meat substitute kind of packaged things that you get at the grocery store at all. So it's not going to be included on my list. But I wanted to go through, and I wrote them down because I always forget. I made a list of vegan proteins. Or also can be used for vegetarians too. But these are very good sources of protein. So I want you to see that there is a lot of protein in a vegan diet if you're doing it properly, right? So the number one I'm going to say is spirulina. Spirulina is really gross. It's an algae. It tastes really gross, but it's so good for you. And there's quite a bit of protein in it, considering like that it doesn't have much to it, but there's a lot of protein considering like per serving size, I guess. And it's something a lot of people have read about. It's very good. It's chock full of vitamins, chock full of minerals. It just really tastes gross. So you can get it in capsule form, but apparently you need a lot of capsules in order to get the recommended daily dose. So I just take a powder and I put it in water, and it's gross, but you know what? Plug your nose and take it down. It's worth it. Spirulina is very good. That's probably a very good source of my number one probably source of protein. Also lentils and beans. Lentils and beans are like, every vegetarian and vegan knows this. There's a lot of protein. There's a lot of fiber in lentils and beans. And there's a lot of variation that you can do with them. With some, you can bake. Like I've had black bean brownies before. They were amazing. So you can research this and, you know, find recipes. But there are tons and tons and tons of lentil-based recipes, bean-based recipes. You can make burgers out of them. You can make, you know, all kinds of things. The variations are endless. And they have now pastas that are made out of lentils and beans. And apparently these pastas are incredible tasting. And they're fairly high in protein. So if you like pasta, there's another thing that you can try. And I'm sure all the health food stores carry these variations of lentil pastas and bean pastas. So I'm just going to list some off. So like black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, lima beans, any pretty much beans, and lentils, obviously. So the problem with lentils and beans is that when people start eating a lot of them, they get a lot of gas, and then they get bloated and they get constipated, when really there's a lot of fiber because the body is not used to that much. So there's a few things you can do. I would recommend small portions until you get used to eating so many beans. Don't go crazy with them because you will get really bad gas and stomach pains. Another thing you can do is soak your beans. So you can Google that, how to soak your beans. Soak the beans, and then it takes out the chances of getting gas is removed from you have a lesser occurrence of that. So you can try that as well. So there's another protein that you can have. Chia seeds, hemp seeds, or hemp hearts. Those are amazing. Hemp hearts, I sprinkle them. Chia seeds and hemp hearts are more to sprinkle on things. So chia seeds, you could sprinkle on your yogurt. You could sprinkle on your salad. Hemp hearts, I put quite often on my salad. They're so high in protein and they're so good for you. Also, you can buy those at the health food store, but many main chain named grocery stores have them now, so you just have to find them, and they're usually in the health food section. But yeah, chia seeds or hemp seeds, high in protein. Edamame beans, I love edamame beans, but I'm going to say, and sorry, but they have to be organic because they're soy, right? So again, going back to soy and the crops and mimicking estrogen in the body, it's just not good. So you can't, I mean, you probably could have non-organic, but you could not have it all the time, right? You have to be really careful with vegetarian and vegan foods that they sell in the store because they're all almost all soy based, right? So edamame is excellent source of protein. They're delicious. Just make sure you get those organic, and again, try not to have them all the time. So they also have edamame pasta, which is delicious, absolutely delicious. Nuts, so almonds, walnuts, almond butter. I want to say peanut butter, but I'm not a big fan of peanut butter. I think almond butter is better for you. So almond butters, if you haven't tried them, they are absolutely delicious, incredibly delicious. You only need a little bit. Good source of protein, good source of fat. Great on a vegan or vegetarian diet, or any diet, actually. Quinoa is a superfood that everybody knows about. It's a grain, but it's really got protein. It's got carbs in it, but it's more considered a protein. It's one of the only carbs that has that much a lot of protein in it. So quinoa, I highly recommend. If you're watching serving sizes for any reason, like for weight or anything, you don't want to eat tons of quinoa either because it does have carbs to it. But quinoa is really good for you, and I highly recommend that for vegetarian, vegan, or any diet. And again, anything on this list is good for anybody. But quinoa is a good source of protein. Tofu should be organic, again, because it's soy-based, right? People think it's disgusting. If you learn how to cook tofu, you learn how to marinate it, you learn how to barbecue it. It is delicious. I even have a recipe for tofu that is scrambled tofu, and it tastes like scrambled eggs. It really does. So people are just grossed out by it. But again, if you want to be vegan, you have to put some work into your meals. Veganism is not for lazy people if you want to do it correctly. So tofu, I promise you, if done properly and if you put a little bit of work into it, it can be absolutely delicious. Again, should be organic if you can. Tempeh. So tempeh is fermented soy. So again, you should get it organic, and tempeh is really delicious. People really like the texture of it when it's cooked. It has a really nice texture, similar, I guess, if you're missing meat a little bit, but it's got a nutty flavor. I personally find it delicious. I don't have it often, but I get it every now and then at the grocery store where the tofu is. Sometimes they'll have it there or in the health food store, and that's called tempeh. And they usually have it, it's already seasoned or prepared for you. You just have to cook it up. So dense vegetables. dark green leafy vegetables. There is protein in them. I mean, it's not tons of protein, but there is protein. A lot of people don't realize there's protein in some vegetables. So dense leafy green, dark green vegetables you want to get, like broccoli, spinach, kale, will have protein in it. Protein powder. I use protein powder a lot. So you can either have protein shakes. I make protein bars out of them. I have a recipe for protein balls, but it's just added protein to your diet. And there is delicious protein powders out there. My favorite is Vega, the chocolate one. So it comes in a container about that big. I just found it at Walmart for $20. It's usually like 30 something dollars, so that's a great deal. But this container that's this big, it comes with a scoop in it, and that will last you a long time. It'll last you a pretty long time, even if you're having a smoothie every day with it. But I highly recommend that protein powder. Not all protein powders are created equally. That's another thing. So that's one that I personally recommend that I consume, and I love it. So that's just to show you. I wanted to show you that how much protein you can actually have on a vegan or vegetarian diet. And none of these things have, like, well, except for spirulina, a few of them have a lot of protein in it, but when you're consuming throughout the day, if you're adding all this, if you're putting all this stuff, variety in your diet, you will get enough protein. You don't have to worry about getting enough protein, right? So a lot of those have fiber in it, so that's also, you're getting your fiber in there, which is great. So all the food that I listed with the protein, most of those have fiber. And again, if you're putting variety throughout your diet, you will not have a problem with getting too much protein. That is an absolute myth if you're using those sources of protein. So I wanted to get into just a little bit of what kind of, everyone's so concerned. Another thing is about having deficiencies. So yes, it's happening. I mentioned it before. It's rampant because people are not eating properly. So the number one deficiency you have to be careful of in a vegan diet is vitamin B12, because vitamin B12 is only found in animal products or in fortified foods. They have to add it because it's not in any food except if it's an animal product. So what I would say, I don't really care how many fortified foods you're eating. I would suggest highly that if you're going vegan, that you take a B12 supplement. So B12 is stored in the body for a while. So let's say your levels right now are good. You can last a little while like that, but I would suggest to just take a supplement. Be on the safe side, because B12 is really important. It's for the production of red blood cells, and it has a few other functions in our body that are extremely important. You do not want to be deficient in B12. It causes a lot of problems. So I suggest going vegan that you take a B12. Vegetarian, you don't need to as much. I found that I was taking a B12 when I initially went vegetarian, and then after a few years I got my blood tested by my doctor and there was no need for it. My B12 was off the charts because of the way I was eating. But vegan, yes, you absolutely have to take a B12 supplement. Omega-3. So you might wonder, how do I get my omega-3 if I'm not eating fish? Because everybody knows it's like fish oil. Like, that's probably like the biggest source of omega-3. Well, you can get an algae, which is what the fish eat, is algae, which is where they get the omega-3 from. You can get an algae supplement that is vegan with omega-3, and I do suggest, because we don't make omega-3. It's an essential oil, and our body doesn't make it. It's essential for health. It's for our brains, for our hearts, our skin, our hair. Endless what omega-3, endless cognitive function. Like, omega-3 is so important. I would get an algae omega-3 supplement. I would take that as well. Another one that is suggested is vitamin D. Most people don't get enough vitamin D, and to be honest, I would suggest that to anybody. I think everybody should be taking vitamin D. Unless you're going outside every day for at least 15 minutes, including the winter time, which most of us aren't, take a vitamin D supplement. Iron, depending on your diet, depending on what your diet, black beans are very, very high in iron. Like, they'll give you half your intake for the day, depending how much you're eating. But if you don't like black beans, or you're not, it depends on your diet. And if you already had problems with iron in your diet, I would recommend having a supplement as a vegan. But that's debatable. So you'll have to see how that goes. And another one is calcium. People are so worried, well, I'm not getting calcium because God forbid if I don't drink milk, I won't have calcium, right? No, that's not true. That's another myth that the dairy farmers of Ontario make you believe, that you need milk. We don't need milk. We are the only species that drinks milk that's not from our species, and we're not even babies to be drinking this milk. Like, we're really literally the only species that does it. It doesn't make any sense to me. But calcium is very, very high in dark leafy vegetables. Like, there's lots and lots of other sources of calcium. If you're not drinking milk, it doesn't mean you're not going to get calcium. If you are so concerned and are brainwashed into thinking that milk's the only way, then take a supplement, but you really shouldn't need one on a vegan diet. If you're a guy, I'm going to suggest, if you do not eat a lot of, like, pumpkin seeds have a lot of zinc in them. If you're a guy going vegan, I suggest that you take a zinc supplement, because it's pretty hard to get zinc in a vegan diet unless you're eating like a lot of pumpkin seeds. So if you don't like pumpkin seeds, or you're not eating a lot of pumpkin seeds and you're a guy, there was a saying that I learned in nutrition school, and they told us, zinc for your dink. True, for your prostate, for prostate health. So every guy I think should be taking a zinc supplement if they're not already, or, because most of their diet they're not getting a lot of zinc. Zinc's a mineral that we need, and it's proven that men need it more than women. So another supplement to kind of think about. Other than that, I would recommend, if you're going to go vegan, go see a nutritionist to help you out, and absolutely go to your doctor, get blood tests done. Your nutritionist also might have a facility that might be able to do it. Some do, I don't, but some have a facility that could do it, or could recommend somebody, or a naturopath. A naturopath can do it too. You can get your blood tested after a few months and just say, I'm going vegan. I want to make sure that I'm doing all this right. And, then you'll have a safety net, and just to know that you're doing it healthy, and that you're not gonna, be feeling really, really crappy months later or years later. Like, a lot of people I see, that's exactly what happens. They go head over heels into it. They don't know what they're doing. They feel great at first because it's a change. They've changed, and yeah, you're gonna feel better when you're not having meat and chicken and all this other stuff. You're gonna feel better, but then you're gonna just crash. It's not good. So if you are dedicated, if you are serious meal planner, you like planning meals, you like, mixing it up, you like a lot of variety, you will be really, really good at this diet. And if you eat the proper wholesome proteins, you plant-based, you're not eating French fries, you're not eating potatoes, you're not eating potato chips and cookies and all these things that could be vegan, but it doesn't mean they're good for you. And that's another thing. I'm going to end on that. Just because something's vegan, a product is vegan, doesn't mean it's good for you. It just means it doesn't have any animal products in it. So hopefully this helped you. If you do go into the veganism lifestyle, a few benefits you can expect if you're doing it properly is you will have good flora in your gut. So you will have the good bacteria, probiotics, the good bacteria in your stomach. You will have a big improvement in that, because all studies show that a lot of vegetarians and most vegans have a healthier gut flora than meat eaters or chicken eaters or turkey eaters, So it really affects your gut flora, animal products. So you will have a much healthier gut flora, which there is a huge connection from the gut to the brain. So if you have any issues with depression, or you're foggy, you can't concentrate, you're feeling down, you don't have any energy, you just can't get motivated, that would improve a lot. There is a big connection, and a lot of us are suffering from these things, or it's making it worse. Bacteria in the stomach is making it worse, bad bacteria. So you can restore the good bacteria, and vegans apparently have the best gut flora. So there's one thing you can look forward to. Reduction of inflammation. Dairy and meat is extremely inflammatory. So if you have any condition ending in itis, this will help your condition, or it will prevent a condition ending in itis. So any issues with inflammation at all, you will find some improvement and some relief. A vegan diet will help you to become more alkaline. I'm going to do a video on this because it's a topic all on its own, but we want our blood to be alkaline, because the more, we don't want our blood to be acidic, which is the opposite of alkaline in the blood. And a vegan diet is mostly, depending on how you eat, can be more alkaline. So it's really good news, because when the blood is alkaline, you can't get sick. Like you can't get serious illnesses. So it's very important, and most people are acidic. So I'm going to do a whole video on that because it's really, really important. And I'll give you some tips on how to become more alkaline besides diet. Your skin will improve. People say all the time, like if they have acne, their skin improves. That's usually one of the things that people notice most on a vegan diet. Again, if you're doing it properly. So I stress that. Lower cholesterol, your LDL. So HDL is the healthy cholesterol and LDL is the bad cholesterol. And how you remember that is LDL, L is for lousy. So this will help your lousy cholesterol hopefully get better. A lot of people experience weight loss. Not everybody, again, because there's a lot of people that go high carb and low fat. And I mean, we have to have fat, and that's a whole other video as well. We have to have fat. There are good fats, but we have to have fat, and you have to have fat in your diet for your brain, but you also have to have fat to lose weight. And a lot of people totally miss out on that. And there are a lot of good fats. So you can lose weight if you're doing it properly, and almost everybody experiences an increase in energy, and who does not want more energy, right? So if you are considering becoming vegan, hopefully this helped, or any little change. I think you don't have that. What I'm going to do is try it for a month, and then I'm going to go back to being my pescatarian, lacto-ovo vegetarian, and then I'll try it again, and then I'll see how it goes. But anyway, I'm going to try it out for a month because I'm pretty much eating a lot of vegan now. I just occasionally will have fish. I will occasionally have cheese. I will occasionally have eggs. So I'm not doing it all the time. So I'm pretty much being vegan, but at the same time, because I'm not doing it all the time, I consider myself a vegetarian. So hopefully this helps you. If you have any other questions about veganism, I'd be happy to reach out to me on Facebook. I am Nutrilicious. On my Facebook page, Nutrilicious, I will put below, because I don't know how to do it here, I'm sorry. I will put below some reminders about the protein substitutes. And if you are on Instagram, I am Lexi.Velvet. I am here on YouTube as Lexi Velvet. If you like this video and you're on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel and you will be updated if you hit the bell every time I release a new video. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you comment below, you can comment here. You can send me a message on Nutrilicious if there's any other topics that you'd like to see. Please be well. Hope this helps, and happy going vegan.